Hello, everyone, and welcome to the live Q&A for Dating in the Zombie Apocalypse. We are joined today by Nicole and Susan, and Natalia, and Lara will be with us very shortly as well. Just having some IT issues, dropped off. But we are here to discuss this new short series that has been released, which was filmed during the pandemic. And we will first of all hear from Nicole a little bit about how this got created. So Nicole, did you want to introduce where this idea came from?
Sure. First, I have to say I'm lucky enough to have two of the stars with me right now, credited as the Garden Zombie, and also Sylvie is with me. But the idea for this came about loosely after Donald Trump first got elected, and was written around the time I was working at Google, and that was a very long commute. Wasn't a fun job. And it gave me a lot of time to think about other things I would want to be doing. But it made me think like, oh, when would I have time to work on something creatively if there was a zombie apocalypse? When could I actually date and meet a nice woman if there was a zombie apocalypse? I could walk my dog every day. I could sit and draw if there was a zombie apocalypse. So that's kind of the where the seed of the idea came from.
Excellent. I muted myself there. That was quite genius. So brilliant. That's really great. And in terms of the, so this isn't your first series that you've worked on. Well, I think it's your first series, but not your first product or project, really. Sorry. So in terms of, would you say this very much is the style and genre you always do, or was it slightly different? Were you influenced by the current situation with the pandemic, would you say?
No, I really love George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, and I really wanted to lean heavily into that classic style of black and white. And also, when I think of those earlier films, there was a real grittiness to it. But specifically, the origin around Night of the Living Dead is that because of copyright issues, that movie was kind of shared all over the place, and also it made its way to television in a format that he never intended. They actually shot in 35 millimeter and took great care into the sound and picture. But because it was kind of a stolen product and shared with everyone, it took on a different look to it. But also, I like the idea of showcasing queer or lesbian characters in a genre and a time when you wouldn't normally see them. And so it's nice to kind of claim space in that genre that you don't ever see a lesbian character.
Yeah, no, definitely. I must admit, it's a bit refreshing from your usual kind of like, I guess, lesbian drama, shall we say, which is kind of the traditional most used format. So it's nice to see something a bit different. And it was quite refreshing, and I think really felt quite relevant and quite current. And yeah, just really enjoyable. And you can definitely see those themes coming through. Natalia, so you played Maria. So obviously no spoilers, but do you want to tell us a little bit about your character, first of all?
Yeah, she was so much fun. When Nicole came with the idea, I'm excited to jump on board with anything that has comedic relief in it. And yeah, she's a great character, very strong girl. And yeah, everything about her was a lot of fun to play, especially working with Nicole. So
excellent. And in terms of this project, how did you come on board? What drew you to this character, this project in particular?
Well, Nicole and I had just finished working on a project together. And
it was a much different project, right?
It was very different, like
very different.
180, yeah. Yeah, in fact, it was a faith-based film, so completely different. Yeah, and then Nicole and I worked together, and again, she's amazing, super easy to work with, and reached out and asked me if I was interested in playing the role. I read for Maria, and I loved her. I immediately fell in love, and I also loved the idea of black and white film. That was really cool. I'd never done anything like that, so that also stuck out to me. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, so Victoria says she loves a zomcom. Is that a genre, or are we making up a new genre there? Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I was trying to think of the last time I'd seen kind of like a recent black and white, and I was really struggling. And I do think that was just, yeah, it's, I mean, I guess for budget wise, I think it is obviously a little bit easier to work with black and white, and I can see this definitely, but I think most of the time it's just really nice to see something that's kind of just that works, and it felt really kind of fresh. And I'm not a big fan of black and white, I must admit, but I could almost see the color through the story, which I think is quite interesting. Like when something really works, it works really well.
Well, it's funny, if it had shown the color, like Natalia's character Maria is wearing a pink pussy hat, and that, like, you know, because when we filmed it, her character's wearing kind of a military jacket, and it's like clothes that she found in the house that she's staying in. And with the Rocket characters, very stylized roller derby girl that had a purple tutu, and you know, is just rolling around killing zombies left and right. And, so there was a certain there were some beautiful colors, but just for style wise, we kept it to black and white.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna, if anyone's got any questions, you can type in the chat and they will come up. We've got a couple of minute delay through the stream, but we will answer any questions you have. Nicole, in terms of when you're thinking about, particularly, I guess, the budget filmmaking, does that change who you cast, how you write as well? Like how much impact does that have on when you're creating content? And you know, and would you do this differently if you kind of had a bigger budget to work with, or do you think this really worked for what you wanted to do?
It worked for what we wanted to do. It had a very small budget. You know, used my grandmother's house. Yeah, cast my mom in key pivotal roles like Garden Zombie. And you know, I was just like, I talked to Natalia about this when we were working on another thing, and I was just, you know, blessed that she decided to work on this project with me. It was a fairly short turnaround, a 2-day shoot, but I think we've set it up that if we wanted to make more episodes in the future, we could, because it's called dating, so she has to go on multiple dates. This is, you know, this is the first date in a series of dates, you know.
Yeah, no, that's. Sorry, yeah, Natalia, so you're saying?
I was just saying I love dating, so it works.
Excellent. So, yeah, I think that's a very good point, actually. I did notice that, like, on IMDb, you listed it as like 2021 onwards, and I was like, oh, it's open-ended. I must admit, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Is there going to be more? So,
well, my mom decided that her character should be able to cure itself out in the garden. You know, she's gone vegan recently, and she thinks there should be a vegan zombie, and that
interesting
sides and change the mythology of zombies.
Yeah, no, a vegan zombie. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, and that's the good thing with film is you can really rewrite the rules and do whatever you want with content.
She wanted more screen time. She's a little upset she didn't make the poster.
Oh yeah, no. You should do. You should do character posters, so each character gets their own poster. That's a really popular thing these days.
But that's why I like the cast and crew pictures in the credits. So you watch the credits and you see all the fun we had making it.
Yeah, excellent. And we're now also joined by Lara. Hello, who plays Rocket. Thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about how you came onto this project.
Oh, got a long process. And Nicole has kind of been like a follower of mine, and she's so sweet. Like, she knows I love thriller and horror movies, and so it was really nice that she had like reached out and she wanted me to kind of, you know, audition for her project and things like that. And she was like, you know, I don't know if you're interested, but I have this idea and all these things. And she was so sweet, and she gave me this synopsis, and I was like, yes, oh my gosh, this sounds awesome. Like, I'm so down. And I always wanted, kind of through the grapevine, I heard about Nicole as well, and like, she's awesome to work with and just like the sweetest person ever. So of course we all were ready to go and wanted to work together.
Excellent. That's really good to hear. We've got a comment here. Where do you get your inspiration from for the movie? I love Hammer horror films, Shaun of the Dead, etc. I'm guessing that's for Nicole. You've kind of covered that a little bit already, particularly around this film. But are there any other films that you draw on, or are there films you want to draw for future episodes, I guess, or future projects you're working on?
I'm a big fan of the slow moving zombie. Like, if you're a zombie, you move slowly. If you move fast, you have a virus and you are not a zombie. So in terms of the traditional zombie, I like how George Romero set up the mythology, and really stayed true to the earlier Night of the Living Dead vision. And that was the inspiration. But I just don't see enough, lesbian and queer characters in genre movies in general. And so, it's, Laura has been in the genre for a long time as a scream queen. And so she's done a lot of really great horror films. And there's just rabid fans that love the genre. And I know there's a lot of queer fans out there that will probably want to see them represented in some way.
Yeah, it's funny that. So I was trying to look at the popularity of content on Netflix VOD to work out what genres were more important. And I need to spend more time in it because the problem is there's just more drama content on the platform, which means it looks like drama is the most popular content, but that's purely because it's the most populated genre. So I've had to go back to the drawing board to an extent because I did look at it and I was like, this is crazy. It's like 80% drama. And I guess that's the default easy go-to genre that everyone thinks of, but you're right, like there's a real interest. And I did say both Laura and Natalia, you've both starred in other content that's kind of more not necessarily zombie, but that horror side. And I do think horror films do have a really interesting following and a really kind of popular genre. So yeah, no, definitely interesting to hear that. We've got another question here. How did you manage to film with COVID and restrictions? So I guess first of all, where did you film, and what were your restrictions? Because obviously, all of us are under different. We all feel like we're locked down, but not all of us actually really are. So, what was location, and what were your kind of restrictions?
Well, like Laura said, this has been a long process in the making. We shot this back in 2018, but we had a certain amount of technical issues when we were filming it. We had 2 Zooms that both decided not to record sound on the 2 days that we were shooting. So there was a lot of sound issues. And there's the script. It was a longer script that had some really great backstory that goes in the backstory of Rocket and also Maria and their, sexual history and the 2 of them getting to know each other. That would have required a lot more ADR. And so just in terms of restrictions, this was done kind of before the pandemic where we weren't as concerned about that. But then when I had time to sit with it and I would look back over it, and Laura would message me like, hey, what happened to that project? I want to see that. And my mom would be like, hey, I never got to see my part as a zombie. Friends want to see me as a zombie. And I was like, yeah, I like the project. And it just, I had, life was getting in the way in terms of finishing it. And so I definitely had the time during the pandemic to go through and post and work on it some more. And like I said, lean into the style more of kind of a grittier, like a found film that like this was kind of tucked away somewhere. And it was filmed in Livermore. So
yeah. So you created and filmed this before the pandemic, and yet it feels totally relevant and on point with the pandemic, which is, I mean, well done. Yeah, that's pretty good, because I think, yeah, you kind of would feel like it's been done, because a lot of people are making films in the pandemic. And I guess because it's been a year, there is that feeling like, oh, this is something else from the pandemic. So that's really interesting. Chantel also wanted to know, how long did it take to film? So you said a 2-day shoot. How long before was your pre-production and oh, here we go. Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty. How much did it cost to make? You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but obviously everyone loves to know this.
I shared the information on the How to Make Making Movies is Hard podcast. I said it was $800, and it really was. I had an extra $800, and I was fortunate enough to work with really quality talent that should have been paid more, but they I was lucky that they wanted to go on this silly zombie journey and play these characters. I will say In terms of pre-production, we had a couple months in terms of I had bought props like roller skates and gear for a certain roller derby actress who had a hard time roller skating. So there's very limited shots of her skating, but she got to keep the skates. So I'm Laura, I'm hoping you're skating around town.
I actually, like, after you gave me those skates, I started wearing them all the time. I'm like, I'm so good now. But see, now, if you want to go further in the story, I'm actually better.
Well, Sylvia works for Bones.
Yeah, Sylvia works for treats, and the other dog in the film by the end of towards the end is full of treats and does a very dramatic scene where he doesn't go by his treat bowl. He's too rough.
What did you film this on?
My friend Michael DeYoung was our DP, and we filmed on a Blackmagic pocket camera.
Okay.
It's a very good small camera to run and gun and do these kind of small shoots. You get a really great quality. I'm sure he would doesn't like how gritty the film looks in terms of the extra filters and posts that I did in the editing, but he's a very talented DP that's working in the Bay Area. So
excellent. And I had something in my head, and then I got distracted by the fact I was like, the interesting concept of obviously like just changing the view and how your DP feels is kind of an interesting one, isn't it? Because like, yeah, they film it and it's great, but then obviously what you want it to look like on screen can mean it can be completely changed. And I lost my trail of thought at that point. I tell you what would be interesting to know is how did Natalia and Laura, how did you find working together? Had you worked together before, and how much time did you have to kind of like get to know each other for that kind of, because like chemistry on set is really important. So tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's quite important. What was the kind of process for you both? Who wants to go first?
You can go first.
I was going to say, Natalia, you could go first because you were here first, darling.
No. Well, I was going to say it was very easy. There was like, it was very easy working with her. We had never met each other before. So we started running lines the first day of shooting, and I don't know, we just got really comfortable with each other. And I think both of us naturally have that, where we're comfortable anywhere with anyone. And so it's really easy to work off of each other. I mean, at least for me.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like, same, vice versa. And it was really nice. Like, Nicole was very open to kind of letting us kind of sit down prior to filming and really get to know each other. And we all, like cast and crew, we would just all sat down and got to know everyone's vibe and what we're comfortable with, what we're not comfortable with. And I think because everyone is just so like gung-ho, and that was in the cast and crew to like just make something fun, that it made it feel better. It was way more comfortable. It didn't obviously it was a film shoot, but we still had like, it also felt just like a nice little gathering with a good group of people, which was great.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to add to that, yeah, it was a really small crew. So I think that was also really nice. It was intimate. And like Laura said, everybody just felt really comfortable with each other. And Nicole just brought a good group of people together. And yeah, it was easy to work off of each other. So. And Nicole's mom was there, who opened her house to us, by the way, and we all felt super comfortable at her house. So thank you to Mom too.
Mom was working, but his grandparents' house. Grandparents were there.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I thought it was the grandparents' house.
That's right.
Every now and then, Grandpa would have the TV on and be like, "Grandpa, can you turn the TV off?"
It just felt like we were home.
TV
It
off.
felt like we were at home, like we were family, because everybody was just like super nice and family was there, and it felt like
we had little kid zombies. How often do you see little kid zombies in a zombie movie? And twin zombies at that.
There are a lot of people who stayed when their part was over just because they were having fun. And in my case, I do multiple things on Nicole's productions. Like I cook. There's going to be a garden zombie cookbook.
Oh.
And, it's fun to work with her. So, like, I'll do anything for her. If she needs a cook, I'll do that. If she needs a zombie, I'll do that. If she needs a homeless person, I'll do that.
I need to like, write more glamorous roles for her. You can tell. Zombie. she's like, when do I get to play the billionaire?
Dead body number 2. I will do it.
I think you're right. If you've got someone who's providing your unit and feeding your cast and crew and giving you a location, you definitely need to be writing a better role. That's the one thing I hear consistently, though, is that when you work on indie projects, they're more fun, and that when you work with people who are easy to work with, you like to work with them again. And so that's really, nice to hear, and definitely a common theme. And I think that's something that just makes it easier. It feels less like work, really, I guess, doesn't it? So we've had a comment as well that beans are a viable protein source. I think that's referring back to our vegetarian zombies. And yeah, funny enough, Tara says love the support for each other, and I think that's the big thing about indie content, is just it's that teamwork. In terms of that, giving recognition for the team, how many people did you have? Like a lot of times indie filmmaking is multiple hats. So who else was involved in this project? How big was your kind of your team behind the scenes?
It's a fairly small crew. I had an AD and a DP, gaffer, and a sound person, and then maybe 1 or 2 PAs. And so very, very small. And some people had to leave at different times. But just in terms of friends coming to help out on the second day, some friends showed up that ended up being zombies that weren't asked to be zombies prior. And so, like, there's my friend Glenn, who he's credited as the Mohawk zombie, and he goes by Pink Thunder in his title credit, and his fiance Katie goes by Vape Zombie. So they just kind of showed up on the second day and kind of helped out, and they made it in the movie, and so it was kind of fun.
Excellent. So Natalia, tell us, what was is there something you can share with us about filming on set, or your favorite part of filming this? I know it was a while back now, but is there anything that stuck with you?
We're talking about this one specifically. That I got to work with Nicole again, and we had just worked together. And again, it's just, I'm big on getting really personal with people, and it's just because I love doing what I love film, and I love to do this. And so I'm always looking forward to having like a positive set, and it was exactly that. And that was one of my favorite things. Again, it's that it felt more fun than work. And I mean, honestly, that's what I do for work. It is fun. I do enjoy what I do. But yeah, one of the things that I enjoyed most was just, it was so much fun. Like I can't remember a stressful time, except when maybe I forgot a line or something. But other than that, it was just a fun set. It was easy. Like I said, working with Nicole and being at her family's house, I felt very comfortable. So it was fun.
I want to just say one thing, just since you brought up something personal and fun. Our martini shot on like the last day was filming the vibrator scene, and Natalia's such a good sport, because it's like, all right, pretend that you're masturbating. That we shot it twice, but she nailed it. So just in terms of ending on a high note, Natalia was a very good sport.
Oh, thank you. I mean, again, I'm such a yes man. I'm like, sure, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
And I mean, that scene is brilliant, I must admit.
More movies should open with a masturbation scene. I think so. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I mean, I am surprised that it's not been like banned on Facebook, because they're very sensitive. But it's lighthearted fun, isn't it? And I think it definitely sets the kind of tone opening that you're like, okay, this is going to be a fun zombie film rather than like a really, really graphic.
And just to say, my mom's very supportive. She's like, friends at work want to see your trailer. I'm like, are you sure? I sent her the trailer. She's playing it quietly by herself. And then the secretary in the other room's like, what are you watching? So very supportive mama. Just shout out to your mamas. I hope they're supportive. So
well, I remember the first time I saw the trailer, like my 5 and my 7-year-old, I show them almost everything I'm in if it's appropriate. And I remember I was like watching it, and my daughter was like sitting next to me. She's like, "What was that noise?" And I was like, "Oh God, okay, I need to turn this off." Obviously, I looked at it on my own later, but yeah, that was a great. It was a great way to open the trailer.
And Laura, anything memorable for yourself? What would you say was the highlight of this shoot?
I would say the skating. Like, even though I think, like, I told Nicole, I was like, if it was rollerblades, I'm so down. And she's like, no, you got to wear these skates. You just got to. You got to. It's like everything I envisioned. I'm like, all right, here we go. But honestly, like, I think when you struggle with something on set, for me, like when it comes to like stunts or something like that, that's new. Anything that's new that I'm doing, it's so memorable because I come back from it obviously really learning something or wanting to dive into it even more. Like, I went home and now I'm like wearing them all the time. You know, it's like it's an experience, and now I have these skates to like remember the film by, and everyone was so supportive, and it's like so cool. Like, even Nicole would be like, "Hey, guys, catch Laura, she can't stop." Like, you know, like she's gonna fall on her face, make sure she doesn't fall on her face. And like everyone would ask me like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm good." And like it was just like the experience of like trying to like skate and act at the same, like I'm worrying about my safety but also worrying about my lines at the same time was really fun.
Laura was a good sport. It's, you know, in terms of props, that axe that she wields in it, it's a rubber axe. It did not last very long. I expected it to last through the 2-day shoot. After the first day, it was dead, and there's duct tape around it. And thank God we're shooting in black.
And like I forgot how weak it, like, in my mind, I'm like thinking it's like kind of like a real axe, like super sturdy. And I think it was like the second time I had to use it and like swing it, the thing fell off. And I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I felt so bad. I was like, Nicole, your axe, it's broken. It was so funny. But yeah, those are the memories that like are just so fun, and like having to work around that, right? Like production has their own thing to work around, but as an actor, you have like these like fun little props and things that you can work around. It makes it a lot of fun.
Brilliant. No, that sounds really good. Molly says, love the happiness amongst you. I love that we're all laughing. We're talking about a zombie film as well. And Tara is also, I think, laughing quite manically, maybe.
Hi, Tara. Tara's a new friend I actually met on Clubhouse. So hi, Tara.
Oh, excellent. Great stuff. So I guess, so for anyone who's not watched this, Nicole, why should they watch it? Like, let's sell it to the audience.
It's got women, little dogs, and zombies. I mean, what more do you want?
And a vibrator.
Content.
And a vibrator.
Yeah,
and a vibrator.
Like,
well, I said women. I would assume vibrators follow the women. So
I don't think I see that many lesbian films that feature vibrators, though.
Well, and that's like the traditional one. Like, we're going old school. We want those older lesbians to shout out and go, I know that one. Yeah.
And in terms of potential future episodes, do you have any thoughts around future dates? Like, or are you asking the audience to kind of suggest their ideas, or what are your thoughts?
It'd be great to continue it later. And right now, let's see if we can get some support around it. That if you watch it and you like it, or even if you don't like it, go to IMDb and give us some love or a couple stars. And if you don't like it, I want like an essay description on why you don't like it. You not like this little dog or this garden zombie.
Yeah, I want more garden zombie in the next one.
What was it like filming with animals?
It's funny. It's been like a running joke. I've tried to put like a little dog in every short I've done, and it's only been like 2 shorts that I haven't gotten a little dog in. I did a fighter MMA fighting movie, and my friend who is always the editor was like, "All right, where's the little dog? I read the script. I don't see the little dog in here." I'm like, "We only have a day in the gym. I don't think we can't allocate a person to just watch the little dog all day and then get an insert shot of the dog." For that one, it was focused on the fighting. But Sam Raimi has a running joke in a lot of his films. His old car from the Evil Dead movies is in almost every movie he's done. And it's either hidden in some way, like when he did Army of Darkness, and it's like a big period piece, kind of a horror movie. The car is hidden under different props, but it's on set. It became this thing like a totem for him to have on set. So I don't know, if there's little dogs around, it's a good day. That's all I'm saying.
Alexandra Harper says, I adored the chicken armor. Genius.
Yeah, I looked out. My sister's very crafty, and that little hat, I wish I'd shown it more because it's pretty intricate, the little chicken hat. Like the idea that he's this little samurai dog and that was a kill or something. There's a lot of thought into the dog armor that I didn't show enough of, but I was lucky enough to have a talented sister that made it for me. She was taking work to make little dogs.
Oh, that's brilliant. Tara says hi again. And we've got interest. So Jana Klimova says, sound interesting, must check it out. So yeah, if you haven't seen Dating in the Zombie Apocalypse yet, this is a new 3-part short series from Nicole De Meneses, starring Natalia and Laura and Nicole's mum and dog. And it's available to watch now on Netflix VOD. I think episode 1's on YouTube, isn't it?
Episode 1's on YouTube, but also the series is going to be shown in a local film festival from Quagmap, really great local festival.
Oh, and is it in real life?
Yeah, that'll be in June, later in June.
So you can see it in a big screen like the days we used to do before COVID.
No, sadly they're still virtual, but still I believe in community support whenever you're working on a project, and they're a really great festival that I think more people should know about, especially if you want queer and lesbian content. And I like that they support local filmmakers.
And what was they called again? Give them another plug. They were called
Quagmap.
Quagmap. Okay.
And Women of Color.
Queer Women of Color Film Festival, so part of there as well. But yeah, check it out. Do watch it. If you love it, share it. It's really important to talk about queer content positively. There's a bit of a belief in the industry that there's no audience, so using the power of your social media to amplify these stories is really important. So everyone watching, if you love it, please do tell your friends, because it's word of mouth that get these things out into our community. Definitely, if you want to see more horror, more zombies, this kind of genre, then you need to let people know you want to see it. The proof is in the voices, so please do kind of share your love of this, if it is. Nicole, is there anything else you wanted to share about this series in particular? Anything that you want the audience to know?
I would hope more people check it out and support it. Also want to say trying to work with Natalia in the future on another project. We during the pandemic, I wrote another script. It's called Dead in Love, and it's a polyamorous paranormal rom-com. And so, that I hope we can probably film it in the summer, but everyone's got to get vaccinated. We got to take certain health precautions, and but the pandemic's given me time to write other projects. So I'm just waiting to get started again on some other projects to film locally and support local creatives.
Yes. I'm just going to share in the chat for everyone the link to the full series on Netflix. Episode 1 is on YouTube, but if you want to watch the whole thing, it's on Netflix VOD. Yeah, as Nicole said, do share, do watch, and more stuff hopefully to follow. COVID is slowing stuff down, but what I have noticed is indie sets tend to be small sets, so you can be more clever. And so I think it's the more we support stuff, the quicker things come through. So it's that kind of real kind of community power, really, of just showing you want things, telling people, and then more stuff gets made. It's definitely I think the more interest is shown, the easier it is to get stuff made. So yeah.
I'd love for Natalia and Laura to share what they're working on or different projects they got going. I know they're busy women. I know they're always up to something. So.
Let's start with Natalia. What are you working on at the moment? Oh, hang on. Anything of interest?
Yeah, so I will be filming. I'm finishing filming on Friday a short that we started 3 weeks ago. And then I start filming a feature again in April. So that'll be my first bigger project. I mean, I do mostly commercial stuff in the Bay Area. So, the shorts and the features during COVID have been, not happening right now. But yeah, so April will be my first feature. And it's also based around the pandemic. So yeah.
There's a lot of pandemic content being made. I can't decide. I think the problem is we're in it right now. So I think the idea of watching it right now, but I think give us 6 months of freedom and we'll all be looking back on it and going, that was an amazing period in time, and look at all this stuff we've got to reminisce and remember it. So I'm trying to not think of it from now.
Well, Natalia, I know Ulrich would kill me if have you talk something about the alternate, because you made that before the pandemic, right?
Well, yeah, that was pre-pandemic. We got lucky because we shot in November. It was for a feature, a sci-fi feature, with the wonderful Ulrich. And we shot that in December, and then we did pickups in January, so right before the pandemic hit. So we got to finish the film completely. And I think he's editing right now, or very close to being done. So yeah, but that was pre-pandemic, so.
But that's good then, because because it's probably going to come through more quickly than your feature that you've not started yet. So that's really interesting. I think the audience always wants to watch everything right now, and so understanding that there's a timeline, it's like if you film today, you've got to wait for the content. So that's really good. And yeah, anything that's kind of coming through now. Laura, how about yourself? Anything working on right now, and anything pre-pandemic that might be on the cards?
I've been able to do a couple things, which is great. Like, I've been very lucky. I just finished shooting a comedy film with Eric Roberts and Andy Dick. It's called Alien Vampire Busters. It's like super comedy, like super over the top, kind of like this short. So we just finished filming. So keep a lookout, probably come out sometime at the end of the year, at the beginning of 2022. I got to act alongside Eric Roberts and Andy Dick and have scenes, and I play a big role in that movie. So it was like my first kind of working with A and B list actors, and it was like a huge thing. And then I just finished at the middle COVID. I shot a film called Terabella, and it's also a lesbian movie about two women, where one female, myself, I play Lily, and I get a little sidetracked on the crazy side, and that's all I'm gonna say. I feel like that's like my go-to. Like, everyone's like, oh, especially in the Bay Area, and people can tell you this. Well, Laura can give you crazy on film. So I always get hired in those like crazy maniac roles, but they're the best, right? They're so fun. So those are my two top. And then I just shot a State Farm commercial. So take a look out for that on some TV. That's if you don't know that, because you're all the way over in England, Naomi, it's like insurance. It's like it's American insurance, like throughout America. So it's like a big commercial, big thing. But yeah, so doing that. So look out for those two films, and I have a lot of stuff online already on Amazon, Hulu, Tubi, PlayStation. So just take a look out, guys, on my IMDb. I have a lot of stuff out, and it's again, a lot of it's horror. So if you like horror, I'm a big fan of it. I got married during Halloween, it's just one of those things. So take a look out, and thanks, guys.
Yeah. And Nicole, I know you've been working on something, because you kept taking photos and you've shared with us all these little micro
Oh yeah,
lots of everything. So what else is in the pipeline as well as Queer Science?
Well, Queer Science was actually filmed during the pandemic with 2 really talented actors and a very small crew. And so that one's in post right now. We're working on some special effects and some of the sound design and a musical score. But then next coming up, I have this idea that, just again, I'm very big on community involvement, and I want to, I have this short anthology that I'm kind of mulling over. The working title right now is called Mexican Pulp, and it's combining, if anyone's familiar with Mexican pulp art, it has a lot of, it has Martians, robots, luchadors, and attractive women, and all things I would want to see in an anthology piece.
Small dogs.
And small dogs will probably be
of course. Yeah. Excellent.
Probably working on that next.
Okay. And is there anything out there at the moment that people can see that you've done previously?
Oh yeah, Nightcap is a queer horror short that's on available on PJs and Pixels right now, and it has a few more festivals to play. It's gonna at the beginning of next year. It's gonna play in the Final Girls Berlin Film Festival, and with fingers crossed, my mom and I are going to go out there and see it in a real theater, because they split up their festival in 2 parts. They had a virtual festival recently, and then the second part is actually going to be in a live theater. And I can't think of a better excuse than to go to Berlin to see one of my short films. So
yes,
yeah. Absolutely. And when is that? Later this year?
It's in October.
Okay, there's a good chance then. Yeah, I mean, we've only just implemented hotel lockdowns for like when you arrive in the country, so I'm not so sure when we when we will stop our lockdown, but I'm hoping as well that by like September, October we'll be free to travel again a bit. So yeah, fingers crossed. Excellent. I mean, does anyone have any more comments or questions before we kind of, I guess, wrap up? If you do, you've got like literally about 30 seconds to type away any comments. But yeah, thank you so much for making this content as well. I think, we definitely need more content that's not just the drama-based content. And it was really interesting to see something so fun and that really does have a kind of, you can just see where you're drawing from. And I think it's so much just light-hearted comedy. And I think although it's kind of similar to the pandemic, it's not. And so I think don't be kind of triggered by thinking I can't deal with this right now. It's actually it's quite refreshing. And I think just a good escapism really for kind of like, I don't know, it could be what the alternative universe could be like if we hadn't got the pandemic under control. So I kind of like think of it like that really, in a sense, like who knows where we're heading, but yeah, it's fun.
Nicole, thank you for your support, and for Lesflix is a fairly new platform, and I really love that the support you have for creators that are want to get their work out there, and specifically to the audience that they're making the content for. So I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. No, well, I mean, Lesflix couldn't exist without the content and without the audience. So I'm just purely facilitating the boring bit behind the scenes. So thank you so much for making content and for starring in content and making it so interesting and exciting. Because I think, I know the audience is out there. We all know the audience is out there, but we just need to make it a little bit easier for that audience to find the content. And that will hopefully, I think, mean we'll have more content as well, because it just makes life a lot easier. We all know where to go get our food. It should be the same for film. We shouldn't be wandering around the high street.
I'd support
that. Yeah, I just feel like, you know what I mean? Like, when you go for your food shopping, you don't have to wander around the town for 25 minutes trying to find a food shop, because you know where to find your food. And that's what film should be like as well. You should just know where to go to get what you want to see. You shouldn't be kind of wandering around aimlessly. And so hopefully by doing that, it just makes everything a bit easier. So we don't have any other questions, I don't think. We do have that minute lapse, but it's looking okay. So if there's anything else anyone wants to cover, now's your last chance. Any final words?
I just want to say Laura has the best scream I have ever heard on a set. She is so good.
I think he froze,
honestly.
or
I'm
it's
one of those
frozen.
people that can't yell on the spot, but you literally have like the best voice. That's all I want to say. So hire her if you want to hear somebody's beautiful yell.
It's so funny because I literally got asked to audition for a project because they heard my yell in one of my films. They're like, "We need you to scream," and I was like, "Oh, yep, you heard it, didn't you?" They're like, "I think that scream."
Yeah, I think on set I came and like patted your back because I was so shocked. I was like, "Oh my god, that was amazing!" I was like, "Wow," I was so impressed.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Natalia.
Yeah, it's a really good scream. So
We've going
yeah,
on.
if you want to hear some good screaming, you have to watch this.
And yeah, well, I mean, there we go. If you like a good woman screaming, then Dating in the Zombie Apocalypse, you need to go no further. Brilliant. On that note, Tara says thank you, congratulations all. Thank you everyone for sparing some time in your valuable day to come and share a bit of the behind the scenes, a bit of the how this series got made, because I think for the audience it's really interesting to understand a bit about what goes into this, and the fact that it was made in 2019, it's taken this long to come out. This kind of stuff is really important for the audience to kind of hear and understand, and it's nice to just feel a bit more part of what you see on the front. So thank you everyone for your contributions today, and we hope lots of you watching at home will pop along to Netflix, watch this series, share it with your friends. The more people watch it, the more people share it, the more likely you'll get more episodes. And do feel free to go on social media and suggest what you want to see as well. Dating, lots more dating options. So, share what you think. Brilliant. Thank you so much, everyone. And we will play out with the trailer one more time.
Yay! Thank you, Naomi.
thank you, Naomi.